continue reading this book by URIAH Smith, Daniel and Revelation, 1897. We are now reading Daniel chapter 11, verse number 38. Our Father in heaven, we need your special presence, your Holy Spirit to guide us into all truth. I pray in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Daniel chapter 11, verse number 38. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, and a God whom his fathers knew not. Shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. URIAH Smith comments, we meet a seeming contradiction in this verse. How can a nation disregard every god and yet honor the God of forces? It could not at one and the same time hold both these positions, but it might for a time disregard all gods and then subsequently introduce another worship and regard the God of forces. Did such change occur in France at this time? It did. The attempt to make France a godless nation produced such anarchy that the rulers feared the power would pass entirely out of their hands, and therefore perceived that as a political necessity, some kind of worship must be introduced. But they did not intend to introduce any movement which would increase devotion or develop any true spiritual character among the people, but only such as would keep themselves in power or give them control of the national forces. A few extracts from history will show this. Liberty and country were at first the objects of adoration. Liberty, equality, virtue, and morality, the very opposites of anything they possess, in fact, are exhibited in practice, were words which they set forth as describing the deity of the union, of the nation. In 1794, the worship of the goddess of reason was introduced and is thus described by the historian. One of the ceremonies of this insane time stands unrivaled for absurdity combined with impiety. The doors of the convention were thrown open to a band of musicians, preceded by whom the members of the municipal body turned in solemn procession, singing a hymn in praise of liberty and escorting as the object of their future worship a veiled female whom they termed the goddess of reason. Being brought within the bar, she was unveiled with great form and placed on the right hand of the president. When she was generally recognized as a dancing girl at the opera, with whose charms most of the persons present were acquainted from her appearance on the stage, while the experience of individuals was further extended. To this person, as the fittest representative of that reason whom they worshipped, the National Convention of France rendered public homage. This impious and ridiculous mummery had a certain fashion, and the installation of the goddess of reason was renewed and imitated throughout the nation, in such places where the inhabitants desired to show themselves equal to all the highs of the revolution. Scott's Life of Napoleon. In introducing the worship of reason in 1794, Chomet said, legislative fanaticism had lost its hold. It has given place to reason. We have left its temples. They are regenerated. Today, an immense multitude are assembled under its Gothic roofs, which for the first time will re-echo the voice of truth. There, the French will celebrate their true worship, that of liberty and reason. There, we will form new vows for the prosperity of the armies of the Republic. There, we will abandon the worship of inanimate idols for that of reason. This animated image, the masterpiece of creation. A veiled female, arrayed in blue drapery, was brought into the convention, and Chomet, taking her by the hand, mortals, said he, cease to tremble before the powerless thunders of a God whom your fears have created. Henceforth, acknowledge no divinity but reason. I offer you its noblest and purest image. If you must have idols, sacrifice only to such as this, fall before the august synod of freedom, veil of reason. At the same time, the goddess appeared, personified by a celebrated beauty, Madame Millard, of the opera, known in more than one character to most of the convention. The goddess after being embraced by the president, was mounted on a magnificent car and conducted amidst an immense crowd to the Cathedral of Notre Dame to take the place of the deity. Then she was elevated on a high altar and received the adoration of all present. On the 11th of November, the Popular Society of the Museum entered the hall of the municipality proclaiming Viva la Raison and carrying on the top of a pole the half-burned remains of several books, among others the breviaries and the Old and the New Testament, which expiated in the great fire, said the president. All the followeries which they had made the human race commit. The most sacred relations of life were at the same period placed on a new footing, suited at the extravagant ideas of the times. Marriage was declared a civil contract, binding only during the pleasure of contracting parties. But a celebrated comedian, expressed the public feeling when she called marriage the sacrament of adultery. Truly, this was a strange God, whom the fathers of that generation knew not. No such deity had ever before been set up as an object of adoration. And well might it be called the goddess of forces, for the object of the movement was to cause the people to renew their covenant and repeat their vows for the prosperity of the armies of France. Read again a few lines from the extract already given. We have left its temples, they are regenerated. Today, an immense multitude is assembled under its Gothic roofs, which for the first time will re-echo the voice of truth. There, the French will celebrate their true worship, that of liberty and reason. There, we will form new vows for the prosperity of the armies of the Republic. We'll read the next verses, the next verse, the next comments, the next time. May God our Father bless you and His Son be gracious to you now and